Welcome to episode 64 of Sport SA Daily Diary. Today we're chatting to South African track cyclist Claudia Gnudi. G'day Claudia, how are we doing today?
I'm doing fantastic, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, good, thank you, good. Did you manage to get out for a ride this morning?
This morning I didn't go out for a ride. I decided to go with my indoor trainer. I don't know, I think I had a really hard session yesterday, and so I just took the easy way out. It was a bit of a fair weather rider this morning, so I went on my trainer.
Well, at least you got on your trainer. What does a
Yeah.
training session for Claudia look like?
For a day or for the whole week?
Oh, let's go with the week.
Oh wow. So I usually get around about on average 2 sessions a day. And then sometimes three. Very interval focused. So I'm a track cyclist, and I've moved from endurance to the sprinting discipline. And so yesterday, one of my favorite sessions, it would be like lactate buffering. So it would be like 30 seconds on in a heavy gear, and then 1 minute off, and you have to repeat it 4 times. It sounds easy, but you're pushing yourself. It's on a very heavy gear, and you have to try and get to a high cadence with that as well. Then I usually, after an intense session like that, I'll usually rest for about 3 hours, and then I have to do some sort of recovery ride for anything between an hour and a half to 2 hours on the indoor. But I'm lucky because I've got a really large backyard, so I've been riding my mountain bike in like circles. And then like my third session will be rollers, usually 20 to 30 minutes with a few rev ups, but that's just to help get rid of lactic acid. And then maybe I'd stretch and roll my legs. And then it's just throughout the whole week, it varies. The interval session just varies. Yeah.
Okay. And Claudia, tell us, how long have you been cycling for?
So I've been cycling since I was a kid because my father owns Panda Sportswear and he's a passionate cyclist. So it wasn't long before the bug bit me, but I only really started training maybe 3 years ago. Before that, I was a fun rider. I'd show up to cycle events and races with no training, and I would just ride and hang in as long as I could till I got dropped and then finish the race and always just enjoy it. And then maybe 3 years ago, I thought, hey, let me start training. Let me see what I can do. And it was also 3 years ago, 2017, I went to America. And then I realized, wow, if you want to take this sport on, you have to train. Because here in South Africa, I was getting away with a lot of things without any training. And then I went to America and I was like, my eyes were opened. I was like, oh my goodness, the level is so different. So I would say really cycling, only 3 years. Yeah.
Okay. And were you cycling at school, or were you playing any other sports while at school?
Oh, school. Well, I did a lot of hockey, touch rugby. I went to provincials for touch rugby, went to districts for hockey. I did a lot of cross country. I was one of those individuals that if I could do it, I was doing it. Basically any sport. I was in the athletics team, the cross country team. I remember at one stage of my life, I've overcommitted myself so much. I would finish school. I would start with hockey practice. Then I'd have to go to athletics practice. And then I had to go and do like my cultural evenings, like raps and eats and acting and all of that. And by the time I got home, it would be 8 o'clock at night. So I did as much as I could. I even tried out for netball at one stage. But the two main sports in high school were probably hockey and touch rugby. I got it to like a provincial to district level. And then when I matriculated, obviously that fell by the wayside.
So you're one of those sportsmen that pick up a sport and sort of fly with it right from the get-go.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that as a compliment. I guess so. I think I never got awarded for like the best player if I ever got rewarded for a sport, it was hardest worker and most improved. I think it's my attitude. When I go and I commit to something, I want to do my best in it and I want to enjoy it. And yeah, so I think it's hard work. I just put in the hours and I try hard, and that's how
And
because that's how I get my results. Yeah.
yeah, well, if you don't work hard, you're not going to get where you want to get to. Claudia, when did track cycling become a part of your cycling career?
So my father, you see, it intertwines with my father quite a bit because he is an avid cyclist and he's got a few national medals on the track as well. I've also always known about track cycling. So I'd show up to the league meetings and I would just, like I said, just start riding. If I have to think back now, the December of 2016, they had like a Madison Cup. It's an event in track cycling where you've got a friend and you have to sling them in the race. So it's like you tag your friend in and then you can rest for a few laps. And when they come around, they sling you back into the race. And that event, when I heard about it, I wanted to learn more about it. And then before I knew it, we had started up this Strasser training and performance team with Jenna, Danny Vernickak, myself, and Victoria Myberg. And we just started training. And that was in 2016 or December of 2016. And that's when track cycling for me started becoming more and more, this is what I want to do. I really enjoy the sharp shortness of the events. Even in the endurance events, I think the longest event in an Omnium is like 20 kilometers. And so it's hot and fast. You get in there, it's hard, and then you're done. Yeah. So I would say 2016 is when I started poking my toe in that pool.
And did you feel pressure sort of when you first started from your dad in terms of the fact that he'd been so successful on the track and now obviously his daughter was following his footsteps? Was there pressure to get to the highest level?
You know, I'm very lucky that my dad has never put any pressure on me in that way. I would say the pressure is starting to come now because I've told him these are my goals and he wants me to reach it. So now in the later years, he's like, yes, you've got to train, you've got to do this. And there's a little bit of pressure. But in the beginning, he always said to me, just ride your bike, enjoy it. And I've had that conversation with him where he said, I'm not going to pressure you to do anything. If you don't want to do the sport, you don't have to do it. And I think it's a good thing because what I've seen from some junior athletes, their parents start pushing them. And when you're young, I think it needs to still be fun. And you need to learn to, when you make that commitment to want to push yourself harder on your own. So I'm very lucky that the pressure's only coming now and after I've decided to really put the pressure on. So I'm very happy that, yeah, he didn't pressure me too much. Just maybe like, hey, I'm going for a ride, do you want to join me? Like you'll ask the question. But yeah, no, he hasn't put too much early on in the years.
And do you race each other?
All the time.
And
all the time. Well, it depends on the effort. So if we're riding through the reserve with the hills, he'll get me, especially with the longer intervals. Like with a minute to 5 minute intervals, he has me. But if it's anything less than 50 seconds, I get a higher peak power. Oh no, then I've got him in the bag. He's like my lead out man, and he just needs to take me to the line, and then it's so much fun training with him because he's at that stage where we're starting to match each other on the track. But obviously with his endurance and his experience, he does have something on top of me. But on the track, if you take me to the line, I think now and again I get an opportunity to come past him, which is, we love it though. It's how we keep training. It keeps things interesting. Yeah, even when we're like, no, we're going easy, we sometimes end up having a little bit of fun. Might do a surprise sprint here and there. So yeah, we do race each other quite a bit.
And Claudia, tell us, there's quite a few variations in terms of track cycling. There's Kieran, there's team pursuit, there's scratch, there's sprint. Tell us a bit about the different ones and how each of them work.
Okay, so you've got in track cycling, you have the endurance events, and then you've got the sprinting events. The endurance events are the Omnium, which consists of four races. You got the scratch race, which is the classic race. The gun goes, and you've got X amount of laps till the finish line. First one across the finish line wins. Very simple. Then we have a tempo race. Ooh, my love-hate relationship with this race. After the first 3 to 4 laps, depending on the size of the track, every lap is a point for the first person that crosses it. And then so it's like every single lap until the end, and then the very last lap, that first person will get 2 points, second person will get 1 point, depending on which format they're racing on. Then we have an elimination, a very fun event. It's like the devil has takes hindmost. So you start the race, and after 4 laps or a certain amount of laps, the gun will go, and every single lap after that, the person at the back, your back wheel, you get eliminated. Makes things very interesting. Then we have the points race. Also another favorite, can also be raced outside of the Omnium, as in its own event, and that is every 5 laps or after a certain amount of distance, you get a bell and there's a sprint. And then first person gets 5 points, second person gets like 3 points, and it goes down like that and then I don't think the 5th person gets anything. And it's about 20 kilometers. So that's the Omnium. Now I've moved to the sprinting events, which we have like a Kieran. So it's motor paced. We start off in a line, and the gun goes, and the motorbike comes, and we all have to get behind the motorbike, and he'll pace us up to a certain speed. Then he pulls off with 1.5 laps to go, and it's basically, you guess you could say it's a sprint to the finish line. But they get you to a high speed, and so it's a power event. Then we have 500-meter TT. It's a time trial, like you get the kilo for the men, which I think Jean Spiess is going for the Olympics. Charlene Dupree is going for the 500-meter TT. It's just a time trial. You've got to start and gate and go as fast as you can. And then you get so many different types of events, and I'm sure I could keep going. And the Madison, I've told you, a very fun and exciting event that I love, even as a sprinter. It's just, can't wait to introduce it to those league meetings.
And what sort of speeds are you going up to in these different races?
Well, it also depends on how aggressive the race is. I've seen, for me, I know when I race with the men, just here at league, I know we hit about 45 kilometers on average for one of the races, and now you're sprinting on top of that. I know that on the world level, the men can also reach up to 50 kilometers an hour in a points race on average. So that's not including like there's sprints on top of that, the person taking the lap. 55 to 55 kilometers an hour, the one World Cup, we were super fast. So they can reach really, really high speeds. For the sprinting events, Kelsey Mitchell, she did a 70 kilometer an hour, 200-meter sprint, qualifying sprint. So the speeds can get really high. 70 kilometers an hour for a woman is spectacular. It's like on the same level as Christina Vogel. It's really cool.
And I mean, you've had a short career, but you've already reached international level in representing your country.
Yes, I've gone to America already 3 times now to race, and every year I saw a great improvement. And then I went to the Continental Track. I've been to the Continental Track Champs a few times already. This last year, in January, we were in Cairo, Egypt. And I managed to take home 6 medals, 2 gold, 2 silver, 2 bronze, and a 4th in the scratch race. So it's really been fantastic to see my growth as an athlete in the sport, and to see that I'm starting to close in on not closing into the international field, but there's hope. Slowly but surely, I'll get there, and I can keep pushing. So obviously the lockdown has postponed a lot of my plans. I was planning on going to Europe and start racing on the European circuit, because a lot of the way people see it is you need to take steps. And so there's South Africa, and then you go to America, then you can go to America, Australia, New Zealand, and then you go to the European sector. And then it's just like the steps in terms of the intensity and the harder the races go. Yeah. So I had a taste in February in Portugal. After Cairo, I went to Portugal. And I raced against Christina Wild was there, Maria Martins. There were so many ladies that I saw at the World Championships that were there. And all I can say is America was fast, but Portugal at just the UCI Class 1 event, it was even faster. And it was exciting to see that I was hanging on, I was doing okay. And there's lots of room for improvements, but it's doable.
And Claudia, when we chatted in the pre-interview, I asked you if you were going to the Olympics in 2021, and you said no. That's a wise decision from such a young person. Tell us a bit about why not, and why your aim is rather 2022 Olympics and the 2024 Commonwealth Games.
So other way around, 2022 Commonwealth Games and 2024
yes.
Olympics. No problem. And the reason why is because I don't really want to go to the Olympic Games and I'm not on par with the rest of them. It's a prestigious event. I don't want to go there for the tracksuits. I want to go there and be part of the sport. I want to go there knowing that I do have the legs. I have every right to be there. I deserve to be there. I'm not taking someone else's spot who is better than me out there in the world. I need to be confident that I've put everything in, my times are right. And I just want to make sure that I deserve it. I deserve that spot with myself. It's just the way that, why go all that way to get lapped, to come last, if you know that you've got time to build and mature. I understand that some people, it's the only opportunity they'll get. They have put in the hard work and they go there. It's a huge, huge honor to be there. And I'm not saying that coming last is bad, but from my perspective, I want to know that I go there and I've put in the correct amount of work to be there. I deserve to be there because I've put in the work, put in the time, and my times as a sprinter now are on par. So I'm not saying I'll go there and win, but I must go there and be in contention. I must go there and not embarrass myself and my country. That's how I feel about it. It's a very controversial opinion, maybe, but that's how I feel. I'm there to compete, not to participate.
It's a very mature decision, if you ask me, and one that should be respected. Tell me, is your dad your coach?
No, he's not my coach. He loves coaching me on the sidelines, but my coach is Dave Street. He's actually been to the Olympics with JP van Zyl before, I think. And when he took JP van Zyl to the Olympics, he got a top 5 in the Keirin. So I have lots of faith in my coach. He does thruster training and performance. And I have a lot of faith in him and his training plans. And I just keep going through with Dave and my dad, who likes getting involved and, no, let's talk to Dave. We need to change the plan. But it's good to have a little bit of push and pull, because that way we keep things centered and, it's not tunnel vision all the time. It's also understanding where I am as an athlete, my body, and getting my dad's perspective on it. Because sometimes as an athlete, you get a training program and you just want to stick to it. Like, this is what it says, this is what I'm doing. And then he'll be like, no, you're injured. Your heart rate was high. Calm down. Just maybe go one gear lighter. So it's good to have a little bit of push and pull.
And Claudia, you've had a short but successful career. Has there been a standout moment in your career that is like you look back on and say, jeepers, I actually achieved that? Is it something like standing on the top step at the African Champs?
Wow, so that is one of them. But for me, one of my standout moments was actually America last year at the UCI events, there was a huge international pool there from Australia, New Zealand, Canada, America. It was UCI Class 1 all the way. Barbados was there. And to see that I was in the mix, I was in the top 6 in the final sprints. I was in there. For me, I didn't stand on the top step, but to see that the capability was there against girls that have been doing the sport for 6 to 8 years, I'm okay, I can do this. It gave me all of a sudden I saw my capabilities were there. And then a defining point was this month in Portugal, I did my first international keirin. So I only made my switch from an endurance athlete to a sprint athlete. I only started making that decision in December.
Mm-hmm.
So in February, when I went to I did my first UCI Class 1 keirin, and I came 7th out of the field, I was very, very happy. It's a top 10. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I shouldn't be here, but I am. So for me, it's not standing on the top step, but seeing those steps towards it.
Yeah.
It keeps me going. And it's a defining point that I can do this. It's fantastic.
And have there been any low moments in your career that you've actually learned from to make you stronger, and that you would be able to share with us and hence give advice to younger athletes to say, this is what happened to me, I learned from it in this way, and this is how I got over it?
Yes. So as an athlete, I think you need to be prepared to lose a lot. Because you can't win without taking the risk of losing. And in my short career, I've lost a lot. I've gone to races where I've been dropped. I've gone to races where I've had bike problems, where in a race that I was in contention, I was one of the favorites. I had it in me to really get a win, and then a bike issue happens. And it's just learning to roll with those kind of punches, because at the end of the day, you can't change it. It's what happens.
Mm.
There's so many to talk about. Like, it's just part of this. It's part of this path. You will lose. You need to be able to deal with it and learn from it. And when little things happen, successful things, you need to learn to take that and remember that that is a victory in itself. Otherwise, if you just focus on all the bad, I got dropped today, I suck. You know, that attitude. Yeah, take a moment, understand that you might have done this wrong, or you didn't have the legs today, or maybe you didn't do your warm-up properly. You can learn from it, but don't beat yourself up by it. My biggest advice is learn to lose, take it humbly, gracefully, and move on, because you can't win all the time. It just can't happen unless you're like, I don't know, Peter Sagan. But even Peter Sagan went through a stage where he kept coming second. So it's just know that when you win, it's something you must treasure, but also losing is part of the game. I've got so many stories, I can't single one out for you. Sorry.
No, that's a great answer. Claudia, just in closing, what does the future hold for Claudia? Where are you going, and where do you want to see yourself?
Well, as mentioned previously, I see myself really, my first goal is the Commonwealth Games in 2022 Birmingham. I'm training as if nothing has changed. Obviously, once lockdown is ended, if races start popping up again, I do see myself going overseas to Europe. I'm hoping to find obviously someone I can travel with to help logistically with costs and stuff, but at the end of the day, if I can't find a teammate or someone that's going to be at those races, I'm going to go on my own, and I'm just going to do what I have to do and make sure that I get to the races in the best form that I can get them to. So you might see me in Germany or Italy. Those are the 2 areas that I've been looking at, because I know that it's intense there, and I think I need to go through a little bit of fire to, improve. So yeah, I think for now, just training in the lockdown, and Commonwealth Games is my goal. I need to do what I can to get there and on level and with my times. And then after that, we can look forward towards the Olympics.
Excellent. Claudia, it's been great chatting to you today on Sport SA Daily Diary. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll certainly be following you and watching out for the 2022 Commonwealth Games and what you can do.
Thank you so much. It was lovely chatting to you.
Take care. Cheers.
Okay, ciao.
Don't miss tomorrow's episode of Sport SA Daily Diary, where angler Barry Warham will be sharing a fishy story or two.